Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about the Delta variant and how the Delta variant and all the news about the virus is affecting your stocks. The stock market is reacting pretty heavily to news about the virus, the Delta variant, everything else. And I want to kind of tell you a conclusion that I've come to about why this Delta variant talk, all this scary virus talk, could be really good for your stocks. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about black wealth and black economics every day, all the time, sometimes as much as 10 times a day, under one condition. The only condition is that in order to be here, you ain't got to be black to be here. We don't hate anybody, but you got to be black first. You got to understand that the reason we exist, the reason we do what we do, the reason we talk about wealth is because we are closing the racial wealth gap. B1, the B1 philosophy means that we are black first. B1 also means that we believe our children, B1 children, are going to be the world leaders on this earth when it comes to economics, wealth building, real estate, ownership of assets, and all things related to wealth within the next 50 years. Number three, B1 also means that we understand we must be one to be successful. That means that you want to find a way to get along with your woman, get along with your man, get along with your kids, get along with your relatives and your loved ones, and add value so you can build family businesses and work together as a team. Wealth building is a team sport. If you agree with this philosophy, put a hashtag B in the number one in the chat. Hashtag B1. Use that hashtag all over social media anytime you're having Twitter conversations because we got to start having elevated discussions. So I want to say hello to Terrence and Sherwin and Incourt and Faisal, Ishmael, Stacy Johnson. How you doing, Stacy Johnson? A big heart out to you too, sister. Faisal, keep fighting the good fight. Yeah, I'm always a fighter. That ain't never gonna stop. Thank you very much, Faisal. Ramir, famous X Bucket, Clyde, Marsha, etc. Let's get to it. Let's get started. Hit the thumbs up button. Take a second, please. Hit the thumbs up, share button, and all that stuff. So, so this week, there's been a lot of talk about this whole thing with the Delta variant with the virus. Now, I want to first of all begin any conversation about the virus by saying that our general position here is that we believe in freedom of expression, and however you're responding to all of this, I support you in your decision to do what you think is best for you and your family. Period. That means if you got the shot, I'm happy for you. If you didn't get the shot, I'm happy for you. I think it's I'm a believer in liberty and in freedom, and I'm not going to sit here and peer pressure you into going along with what somebody tells you to do, good or bad, good or bad. But what I am here to do is kind of break down facts based on what I'm sort of seeing with financial markets and how this is going to affect your wealth and your investments. I was running today. Alicia taught me into. She's so pretty. She could talk me into damn near anything. I'm telling you. She's a beautiful lady who gives great massages, and so wherever she goes, I like to follow because I love the view from the back, but I also love the view of her brain. And while we were running, we were doing this crazy, horrible half marathon. I'm in agony the whole time. So to distract myself, all I'm doing is listening to financial commentary. I'm listening to every expert to get every perspective. That's how you get wiser. If you ever want to get smarter, hear all the points of view. A lot of people do a whole lot of talking but don't do any listening, and that's a great way to be a dummy. If you ever want to be really stupid, do a whole lot of talking and no listening. And so I tried my best to listen, and I was listening to all the different perspectives, breaking down what's going on with markets and what we should worry about and what is kind of a nothing burger, right? So there's a big talk about the Delta variant. The Delta variant of the virus is something to be concerned about. I was reading a lot of news about it and everything else, and wondering not just how's it going to affect society, but how's it going to affect your wealth. And the big fear with the Delta variant is, could there be another shutdown? Could we see, stocks just get hammered, because businesses are forced to shut down again, or whatever. Now, the thing with the Delta variant is I think we're going to learn a lot when school starts. When school starts, that's going to be a big indicator. I know with the Olympics, I think that somebody tested positive for the virus. But one case of the virus doesn't scare me. I mean, I know tons of people who got it. None of the people I know directly who got it died. Now, I know people who died. I know people who know people who know people, but I don't know anybody directly, nobody in my immediate family. But a lot of people in my immediate family got it and they survived, etc. And so the thing is that, we're waiting for school to start to see how are institutions going to react. How's corporate America going to react? The thing that set off the whole pandemic last year was when the NBA announced that they were going to cancel the entire season. That was pretty much the catalyst that drove all the shutdowns. And if you recall also, when the Olympics announced that when the Olympic committee said we're not going to have the Olympics this year, that was also a huge catalyst. That also drove people to say, "Holy crap! This is scary." I remember that moment. It was like it happened like all of a sudden. Then suddenly everything's shutting down. It became like a cascade effect or a herding effect. One of my dissertation committee members by the name of David Hirschleifer was one of the world's leading experts in studying investor psychology, and he used to talk about how a lot of people don't really know what they want. They don't know what to do. So what they do is they look at what a big player does, and they all follow that big player because they feel that there's safety in numbers. So there's a lot of people that are sheep that just sort of follow the herd, follow the pack. I don't get into that. I think that there's a lot of danger in being a sheep, but there's a lot of sheep, and most heads of corporations, many of them follow the pack. So if some of the big players decide to shut everything down, NBA being an industry leader, when they shut things down, that's what led, I believe, to a lot of other companies shutting things down. And it wasn't until you had companies like maybe Amazon or actually the SEC in football that said no, or the NFL that said no, we're not shutting it down. We're just going to manage it. We're going to keep living. That led people to say, huh, okay, maybe it is all right for me to still live a regular life, right, and still keep myself safe. So when school starts, that's going to tell you a lot about what the Delta variant is going to do. Now, last week, the Delta variant was the reason that your stocks got their butts kicked, right? There was literally just some news about, higher infection rates. And what's interesting to me, one thing I noticed is very different about the way they're discussing the Delta variant versus how they discussed all the other or the first pandemic, is that the first time they were always telling you about how many people were in the hospital and how many people died. And now they just talk about the number of cases. And so, the number of cases, while that's certainly a bad thing, cases don't bother me. I'm looking at deaths. I'm looking at, okay, how many people went to the hospital? Can the hospitals handle that capacity? How many people died? What was the age of the people that died? Right? So if you tell me that that a bunch of 95-year-olds died from something, that's different from telling me, a bunch of healthy 40-year-olds, died, and your chance of death is 8 and 10 or something like that, right? And so I noticed that, and so I figured that if the media had high death numbers, alarming death numbers, they would share those numbers. So it's telling me that people are seeing what we're seeing. I'm telling you what I'm seeing because I want you to know that other people are seeing what I'm seeing. So what I'm seeing is that there still is an issue with infection, right? There's still social distance. Take your vitamins, eat your sea moss, do all the things that are going to keep you healthy. No, don't, whether you get the shot or not, the shot isn't going to protect you if you are choosing to eat the worst foods and not take care of yourself, right? But the thing I'm convinced of is that there are not a lot of deaths, and also the hospitals are able to handle that capacity. That tells me that corporations are probably not gonna let a full shutdown happen. They're just not. They're like, you know what? You already got us. You scared the hell out of us last year. We were living on the edge of our seats because we didn't know what was going on. It wasn't just the fear. It wasn't just the fear of the known that bothered us, and it wasn't just the fear of the unknown. It was the fear of the unknown unknowns, right? And also just fear itself. Just having fear can make you afraid, right? Because everybody's afraid, so you're afraid, and we all act scared. And it's, you got the knowns, the unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. A lot of those unknown unknowns are kind of dealt with, and a lot of the unknowns are manageable. So what this says to me is that people are going to see the whole Delta variant as, okay, we got this thing out here, we got this infectious disease. We don't want to catch it. We don't want to mess around with it. There's a lot of infectious diseases out here. Like that's why I tell guys don't be going out here sleeping with a bunch of women, because there's infectious diseases when it comes to sex and everything else, and the hospitals can cover that, right? That's kind of what they did all throughout the South, through the whole Florida pretty much acted like there was no pandemic, and their hospitals just handled all the sick people, and they continued life as usual. Now, do people agree with that? I don't know, but the fact is that Florida didn't just fall into complete chaos, right? And also, it's not an election year. During an election year, the reaction to information like this is going to be different than during a non-election year, because everybody's trying to get elected, and they're trying to use fear in order to get more votes. So here's another piece of that issue that I want to share with you too. Now, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Another piece to this is, not only are you looking to see if schools are going to be shut down, because that's going to impact worker productivity. Workers can't come to work if schools are shut down, which is going to disrupt supply chains. You can't get your products and stuff like that because people can't go to work. So that's a big deal. But the other thing too, here's the thing that tells me that stocks are going to keep rising. And it's also a thing that tells me that any Delta variant fear, anybody who's running away from the market because they're afraid of the next thunderstorm that occurs, there's going to be another financial thunderstorm at some point where there's going to be some scary news, because the media, they live off of fear porn. They like to scare the hell out of you. So there's going to be some scary announcement, some piece of scary news they're going to release about the Delta variant that's going to cause stocks to drop again. That's a buying opportunity. And the reason it's going to be a buying opportunity, in my view, is because the number one factor that the experts are paying attention to when it comes to where these stocks are going is earnings. Earnings, earnings, earnings. Let me make this clear. These companies are making more money than they've ever made before. These companies are making buckets of money hand over fist. About 80% or more of the companies that reported their earnings made more money this past quarter than the market expected them to make. And a lot of that is the reason they exceeded expectations, is because when we're sitting around thinking that it's all doom and gloom, everything's going to fall apart, there are people out there that are really making money. These companies are really, killing the game, all the way from Chipotle to Ford and everybody in between, Amazon. They're all killing it. They're all making insane amounts of money. So the earnings are what will drive stock prices in the future. It's not going to be things like the 10-year treasury yield that can move the market day to day. It's not going to be stuff like the Delta variant. Whether we just choose to be scared or not depends on what they put on CNN that day. It's going to be earnings. It's going to be earnings. And here's the other thing too. One of the reasons that I'm convinced that stocks are a good place to have money now, especially if you see another dip, is because the biggest factor that was going to drive down stock prices and cause a market correction is that the Fed was going to start doing what they call tapering. There was an expectation that the Fed, which has been boosting stock prices, the Fed has been taking care of investors for a long time. That's why I've been telling y'all for 20 years to become investors. You got to get your money in the market, get your money in investing, because that's where the money's at. They've been taking care of them. So what the conversation was, say, a month ago before this Delta variant talk was, is the Fed doing too much? Maybe the Fed needs to slow down. Maybe the Fed needs to stop supplying so much money that's boosting up these asset prices, because it might cause inflation and all these other things, right? All that's gone. All those concerns are gone. Like, the Fed now has complete cover to do whatever the hell it wants and to keep pumping money into the market, and the thing is that that's money for you. That's how you get paid. That's how, because those corporations, these corporations, they might make you think that they woke and that they care about the environment and that they're into politics. No, their only politics are those greenbacks. They're focused on getting that paper. So wherever the money's at, they show up to pick up that money and pick up their check. And I wish a lot of black folks would kind of at least learn from that, right? Like you're sitting around mad about this, mad about that, wondering if white people like you or not. Man, put that to the side. Go get what's yours for your family. Seriously, that's what I. But then again, maybe everybody doesn't think that way. And good luck. I hope your strategy is working if you're doing something else. But I'm tired of people running around talking about how broke they are when there's money right there on your front porch. You just got to go pick it up. So the corporation is going to be making money. Their earnings are going to continue to grow. The Fed is going to keep pumping money into the economy, largely because all the reasons that people were giving to get them to stop are gone. The two main reasons that they were telling them to slow down is one, because there was a concern about inflation. That concern is gone because the 10-year yield on treasury bills, which is the big indicator of expected future inflation, that yield was getting super high and people were worried. That yield has plummeted. It has sank to the point where they were worried about hitting another recession. And then the second thing is that before there was the assumption that we're done with the pandemic, ain't no virus, is happy days from here on, the sun's going to be shining. Now they're not sure. So now that they're not sure, the Fed is like, yo, look, we got to keep pumping this money in here because this pandemic thing may not be over. So people are letting them do that. And then the last piece is that you got Biden, again, Uncle Joe. I cared nothing about Uncle Joe. I can't love a president who incarcerated more black men than any president in American history. Maybe you love him, maybe you don't. I don't encourage you to fall in love with politicians because they're not designed to love you back. But that's between you and Joe. Maybe one day he'll come to your house and give you a cookie and a kiss, and you'll feel like a better person. But here's what I like about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is working with the Democrats and the Republicans to push through a massive multi-trillion dollar stimulus bill. Guess who's going to get that money? Guess who's going to get that money? The corporations. And guess who owns the corporations? You do. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you are consistent investors in the stock market? Give me a yes or no. If you say no, then I need you to kind of change that. Give me a yes if you're an investor. So as an investor in that company, you are an owner in those companies. That their money is your money. So when that money starts pumping into the economy, sure, there are going to be people who are going to get screwed. Yes, America is an unequal society. Yes, there are people at the bottom who are going to get left behind. And I hope that you can fix all of that. But I don't want you to get left behind. And I want you to take whatever little change you got, get on that app, and consistently keep being consistent. And if the market dips, if the market starts acting a little crazy, because there's volatility ahead, most indicators say there's going to be some volatility. When the market starts acting a little shaky and a little janky, you be consistent. Don't, just because they're shaky doesn't mean you have to be shaky. Just because the market's janky doesn't mean you have to be janky. So janky people don't get rich. Sturdy people get rich. So be sturdy, be consistent. That's how you're going to be successful. Got it? Give me a guess if that all makes sense to you. I hope that this was helpful to you. Now I'm gonna go. Alicia and I are exhausted. We just finished a half marathon. I didn't know if I was gonna make it to the finish line, but I did. I met a 71-year-old lady who, a old white lady actually, who did the race carrying an American flag. And I don't hate white people or black people. I don't hate anybody who, just because they're not black. I don't assume because you got an American flag you're a racist. So I went over and talked to her, and she told me that she had 4 men in her family that were in the military. Or sorry, she had several men in her family that were military, and 4 military suicides. Because our society, we don't treat our veterans right. And this lady, 71 years old, she said, when my son died 10 years ago, I was in the bed and I was crying and feeling sorry for myself and eating Cheerios all day. And I just got up and said, I'm not going to do this anymore. So you know what she started doing? Check this out, y'all. This was really, inspirational stuff. She said, I got up and decided I'm gonna, in their memory, I'm gonna carry a flag and do a 5K. And then she did a 5K, which is about 3 miles. And then she liked it, and she did another one and another one and another one. To this day, this lady says she's done 140 half marathons and like 60 marathons, and she's done a marathon in every single state in America, and she's 71 years old. So my point on that is to say, don't tell me that there's something you can't do. Don't tell me that it's too hard or that you got to give up. And don't you dare ever let anybody convince you that you can somehow be successful in this society or be happy by feeling sorry for yourself. I just really don't want you to embrace that. I'm sick of it. I don't like it. And so go out there and be successful. Find your bliss, find your happiness. So that's what it is. I hope that story is helpful to you. You can get inspiration from everywhere. But right now, I'm not going to get no more inspiration. I'm actually going to go to sleep. So God bless you. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And also, don't forget, we have stock market investing class every Tuesday. That's where my students come together in a small group and they ask me all kinds of questions, and we talk about market dynamics, and I tell them what stocks I'm buying that week and all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested, the first month costs you nothing. The first 30 days are totally free. Feel free to go try it out. And there's a money back guarantee if you're not happy, but everybody's happy. So we don't have to give anybody refunds because they love it. So feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The URL's right there on the screen. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you for listening. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe and all that on your way out. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Talk to you later. Peace.